Today we're going to take a look at some interesting features of an early Watling Rol-A-Top. To begin with, this is a nice vendor front 5-cent denomination machine. The serial number that's stamped at the top and into the case starts with the 67,000, indicating that this is a 1935, mid-1935 manufacture date. And it's interesting, there's actually two interesting aspects to this machine that I want to point out. The first is that since it is 1935, just a bit of a quick recap on the history of the Rol-A-Top. Originally the machine was, when Watling made them, Watling was originally issuing them as what was called the Rol-A-Tor. And you can see here's some copy of an early advertising. And then what had happened was, very quickly, a company called Norge, who was making refrigerators, had already been in business and had this model called the Rol-A-Tor refrigerator, put a cease and desist on to Watling. And so as a result of that, they quickly had to rename and remarket the machines. Well, what you see here, what's interesting is this early machine, if you look very carefully at the P, you actually see that you can see where the mold was filed off, not on this, but on the mold that made this casting. You can see the flat spot where the leg of the R would have gone previously. So for the first series of Rol-A-Top machines, they actually just went into the molds and ground off the one leg, the leg of the R, to make the machine into the Rol-A-Top, which was a quick way to meet production needs and also be pretty frugal in terms of not having to make new castings or new molds. So quite an interesting bit of history that you see on these early Rol-A-Tops. The other one that's particularly interesting on this machine is when you look inside, early Rol-A-Tops typically were not issued with any sort of anti-cheating devices. And what you see here, though, is that this machine does have plates on the left and right hand side that appear to be quite old. And in fact, you even see that though the plate was put over, this is some remnants of the original paper Watling label. So the machine was manufactured, presumably the paper label was put there, and then sometime later on, but probably not too far after that, these metal plates were put on. And you might wonder, well, why would someone, here's again, nice example of the early case, why would someone put the anti-cheat plates inside of such an early machine? And well, we do a little more investigation, we see that, in fact, by moving the handle and looking right up here, there's evidence of some holes that were actually drilled into the side. And what would happen is players would try and kind of keep their hands here, and they'd be playing the machine as normal, and they would carry a small drill with them, and they would be able to push the drill up against the wood case and slowly spin it by hand, and over time they would bore a hole through the wooden case. That would then allow them to use some piano wire or something else to string it into the machine and ultimately get to the reels and manipulate either the payoff fingers or the reels that were inside. And so obviously someone noticed that, either due to the amount of money that the machine was not making, or from the actual physical evidence there, maybe they saw some sawdust inside the cabinet, but whatever it was, it led the operator to then go ahead and put the anti-cheat devices inside. So a lot of history in this nice machine. This is again a circa 1935 vendor front 5-cent Rol-A-Top.